Adam Schiff adjusted his tie as the lights of the packed hall glared against his face. Cameras were rolling. Journalists sat ready with pens hovering above their notepads. And 1,000 pairs of eyes watched every move. He carried himself with the authority of a man used to being listened to. His voice cut through the room with sharp precision as he said, almost casually, "Mr. Traoré, you may have the passion, but let's be honest, you are uneducated. Leadership requires more than fiery speeches. It requires intellect, understanding, and years of discipline." The words hung in the air like a slap. A murmur passed through the crowd. Schiff leaned back, satisfied. He thought he had cornered Ibrahim Traoré, the young leader from Burkina Faso whose rise to prominence had already unsettled more than a few in the Western establishment. But Traoré did not flinch. He rose slowly from his chair, his uniform crisp, his gaze steady. The silence in the room deepened as he began to speak, his voice calm yet powerful enough to reach the farthest corner without a microphone. "You call me uneducated," he said, "because I do not speak the language of your universities, because I do not wear the medals of your institutions. But let me tell you what my education was." He paused, scanning the crowd. Schiff shifted uncomfortably in his seat. "My education," Traoré continued, "was the sound of mothers crying because their children had no food. It was watching fathers walk miles under the sun, searching for work, returning home empty-handed. My education was hunger, drought, and the silence of a world that looked away." The audience leaned forward. Cameras zoomed in. Every word carried the weight of lived experience. "When I was a boy," Traoré said, "I stuttered in the dust, under a broken lamp, while others enjoyed electricity. I read pages that were torn and faded while others had libraries. And yet, I learned not only to read words but to read people, to read the heart of my nation, to read the suffering written on every face I saw. That was my school." A hush fell over the hall. Schiff's earlier smirk had vanished. "You see, Congressman," Traoré pressed on, "true education is not memorizing what is written in books that others have written about worlds they will never touch. True education is standing barefoot in the soil, feeling the cracks of the earth, and asking yourself, how will I heal this land? True education is carrying your people's hope when the rest of the world has turned its back." He told the room of the nights when he and his fellow soldiers had no boots, only sandals, yet still defended their villages from those who came to plunder. He spoke of carrying wounded comrades on his shoulders, not because he was told to, but because no one else could. He described how he sat with elders, listening to stories passed down for centuries, and how those stories became his textbooks, each one teaching survival, honor, and resilience. "This," Traoré said, his voice rising, "is the kind of education no institution can give. The lesson of sacrifice, the lesson of love, the lesson of responsibility." By now, even the journalists had stopped writing. Schiff's gaze wandered toward the floor. The power dynamic had shifted completely. "You may believe that the world is measured by degrees, certificates, and titles," Traoré said. "But in Africa, the certificate is survival, the degree is resilience, and the title is the love of your people. I have all three." The crowd erupted into applause. It was not polite clapping. It was the thunder of hands striking together, echoing like a drum of liberation. Some in the audience rose to their feet. Schiff swallowed hard. His attempt to diminish Traoré had backfired spectacularly. What was meant to belittle had instead given Traoré the stage to show the depth of his wisdom. Traoré did not gloat. He simply stood with dignity, allowing the moment to breathe. He had not shouted. He had not insulted. He had only told the truth, and the truth had silenced the room. Later, clips of the exchange would spread like wildfire across the internet. On social media, millions replayed the exact moment Schiff looked away, unable to meet Traoré's eyes. Comment sections filled with admiration for the African leader, who had turned humiliation into a lesson in strength. But for those in the hall, the real impact was not in the viral clip. It was in the feeling left behind. The sudden awareness that education is not a diploma. It is the courage to stand when others sit, the wisdom to speak when others remain silent, and the strength to carry a people's pain with pride. Traoré ended his story with a single line. So yes, I am uneducated in your eyes, but in the eyes of my people, I am the teacher of their hope, and that is the only education I need. The applause returned, louder this time, until the walls trembled with the sound. Schiff sat frozen, his earlier words now nothing but dust scattered by the storm of truth.